Hi Stampers, this is Kim with Great Inspirations, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in southeastern Indiana. Thank you for joining me today. I have some cards to share with you today that I call window cards. They are also referred to as peekaboo cards because the card front has a portion cut out that reveals an image that's on the inside of the card. Now, I shared this card sometime back, maybe September or October. And as you can see, I just cut out the window and I just put some little elements around the window. But today I want to talk about framing the window. And that's what these cards have in common. They all have a frame around the window. And there are many ways you can go about making the frame. There are no hard rules. Do what works for you and what works with any dies that you may have. You can use dies from the same die set. You can use dies from different die sets, whatever you come up with to make your frames for your window cards. Another thing today is I thought we would use stamp sets that are from the Stampin' Up! 2021 to 2022 annual catalog. Now, the new mini catalog for June through July has just been, I'm sorry, not June through July, January through June of 2022 has just been released, and we are all excited about it. But this catalog will end on May 2nd, and I just thought it might be a nice time to kind of remind ourselves of some of the stamp sets that can be found in this catalog. So, let's get started with our cards. This card was made using the To the Moon stamp set. This great moon image right here. And also the Love You to the Moon and Back. I simply put Love You here and then To the Moon and Back on the inside. Now, as you can see, the moon is on the inside of the card. It is on dimensionals. And then this frame I made using the layering circles dies. Let me just pull those right out. These two, this one, and then this one made the frame. This one, of course, cut out the hole. It cut out the moon. And then these two together formed the frame. Now, this frame is very basic in that I used a circle die and then I used a size 2 sizes bigger. I went up this one and then 1, 2. This is the one that's 2 sizes bigger to make my frame. And that's a good rule of thumb to use until you accustom yourself to making the frames for these cards. But you don't have to stick to that. I did stick to it for this card. This card was made using the Seascape stamp set, and also I used the I have to think of the name of these, the diorama dies, these right here, and it's the rule of 2 sizes up. Now on this card I did something just a little different, and that you see the image on the inside, but I put this fish, just adhered him over here on the border, but when you open the card, there he is again. Now this card I made, we have a new baby in our family, just very, very recently, I think a week old today. And I made this card to send to our nephew and his wife to welcome their little bundle of joy. And for this card, I use the cutest stamp set ever in my mind. It's called Wildly Adorable, and it is wildly adorable. I just love it. Just such sweet little baby images. But also for this card, I used two separate die sets. I used, for the image and to cut out the window, one of the Stitch rectangle dies. And then I just matched it up with one of the Stitch So Sweetly dies to make the frame. Now, let's take a peek at this card. This, I hope to you it looks like a birthday hat. That's what I wanted it to look like because I really wanted to use the Stitch triangle dies. I don't get to use them very often. I loved when we had a stamp set and then in the holiday catalog, not this past one but the year before, there was another stamp set that coordinated with these dies. But I have found several ways to use them, so I decided to make a party hat. And I used these two dies. Now, this die is not 2 sizes bigger than this one. Simply because if I'd used one that was 2 sizes smaller than this, it would have been out of proportion for the card. So it's just 1 size smaller, but it still makes a very nice border, and actually, for the purposes of this card, I think I like that better than the thicker border. So this, the Happy Birthday, I got from the Sweet Ice Cream stamp set, which is another great set that's in the annual catalog, especially for summer cards, summer birthdays, you name it. So I thought, since we've talked about all these dies and stamp sets, I thought we would walk through making a card, and we will use the Hand Pin Petal stamp set, which is really a favorite of mine that's in the current catalog. And we will start by, first thing you're going to need, you need to decide what you want to do with the window. Well, I decided to go to my favorite, my Old Reliable layering circle dies. But then instead of using just the plain circle that's 2 sizes up like I did for To the Moon card, I decided to go with the scallop to make the border or the frame for the window. So what we would do, open our card up, and we're going to do some let's pretend here, because I'm going to pretend that we are adhering this piece of Designer Series paper, which is called Hand Pin. It coordinates with the Hand Pin Petal stamp set, and it too is in the annual catalog. So you would adhere this down. I usually avoid the area where I want to put my mask, just because then I'll have 2 die cut images that I can use on another project. But if you want to put adhesive there, that's okay. You would just have a piece of Designer Series paper that is adhered to a piece of cardstock, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. So we're going to decide about where we want the window and place our die for our window right there. Then we would take this to the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Make sure the card's open. If you close it, you might end up with 2 holes. But just run it through the die cut machine. And when that is accomplished, this is what we'll have. And then you can have an image that you've stamped, and I have one right here that I've stamped and colored with the Stampin' Blends markers. And this image will fit right in here after we die cut it. So we need to decide where we want to put the die cut. Then you can, if you care to, you can make sure this stays in place by putting some washi tape, some painter's tape, any kind of low tack tape, even a sticky note on here, just to hold it in place while you run it through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. And once you do that, you will have this image. And as you can see, this fits perfectly in here. And if you want to tilt it just a tad, you can do that. You can decide how you want to place it. And we're going to go ahead and adhere that right now. And I'm just going to use a little liquid glue. Oops, sorry. Let me move my glue to where I can get to it. Okay. Just make sure it opens. And there we go. So that part of the card is ready. Now we just need a frame. So we'll be taking some basic white, simply because I decided that a nice white border would look great with this, with the basic white card base. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our biggest die, place it on the cardstock, and then take the one that's the size of the window and center it in that die as best you can. Put your washi tape or your low tack tape on, and also run that through the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and then you get this. And to adhere that, I'm going to open this up so we make sure not to get any glue on our image. Just use a little of the liquid glue here. Line it up, and with the liquid glue you have a little time. If you don't get it lined up just the way you want it, you have some time to move it around. I usually check it on this side. There we go. And there we have it, our framed window card. Now this looks a little bare, so I have a sentiment here. It says happy birthday. And actually this was cut out with the Ornate Frames dies. They're also in the annual catalog. And I just put some dimensionals on the back, and as you can see I was testing different colors. This happens to be the Pale Papaya, and we're going to just line this up, and this ribbon is the Open Weave ribbon in the Designer Series, or the in the In Color colors, and this one is the Pale Papaya, and that too is in the current annual catalog. So anyway, there we go. Quick and easy, and it looks really nice. You can open it up and there's an image. Of course you could stamp another greeting in here if you like, and of course leave room to sign your name. Very easy way to make great cards to send to all of your friends, neighbors, relatives. Let's take another look at these. And this one will be going in the mail as soon as I am finished with this video. There's our party hat. Now, for more information about these cards and for supply lists and cutting dimensions, all those kinds of things, you can go to my blog, and there will be a link to that blog in the description of this video. Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, stamp happy.